We had one matinee game today, so I'm not going to set up the board and do a review of one game. I'm going to do something different. The Calgary Flames are a contender. Yeah. And I know there are going to be people who say, well, I don't know about contender. The Calgary Flames showed Minnesota today what they're capable of. There's timely goal scoring. There's the amazing third period. They're the best team in the third period. I think they're the best team at scoring goals in the third period in the entire NHL. I know they're great at comebacks in the third period. The other thing that shows is this: Makachuk 5 for fighting, Hamonic 2 for hooking, Hanifin 2 for tripping, Giordano 5 for fighting, Bennett 5 for fighting, and then it settles down from there. And the only penalty you have in the third is a delay of game for Calgary that kind of actually helped the Flames. I think when you take that delay of game penalty that late in the game, the fact you're allowed to ice the puck while shorthanded really, really helps you. The delay of game. Now I remember, the delay of game was that the referee felt that the Flames were taking too long after an icing. So, Monahan's got to lace up his skates. They're throwing the wrong guy on the ice. It's standard. This happens all the time. I'm surprised they called the penalty because it happens a lot where a team ices the puck and it's like, oh, icing, right. I'm going to very slowly make my way over to the faceoff. Oh, I wasn't on the ice. Right. Hey, Bill, you were on the ice. Come on back on the, and it just takes a while. Eventually, referees say that they've had enough. But in this case, they called it, and I thought it benefited the Flames. The Flames have the goaltending with David Rittich. No offense to Mike Smith, and I'm going to say this right now. I think Rittich is good. The one thing that you have to wonder is this. You have a Calgary Flames team right now that with Gaudreau and Monahan and Lindholm and Tkachuk, and I mean there are so many really solid offensive pieces. If Bennett, Jankowski, and some of these other depth guys are able to start putting the puck in the net with more regularity, they'll be a favorite in the West. The good thing is this: the Pacific coming into this season was seen as being the weakest division, right? And Calgary was not seen as necessarily being a playoff team. I didn't see it. I thought, well, yeah, they moved some guys out and brought some guys in, but it kind of looks like they traded out and traded in, and everything looks kind of the same. Couldn't have been more wrong about that. Hanifin, in my eyes, has been an upgrade on Dougie Hamilton, and I know I'll take some flack for that, but I do think so. And definitely Lindholm has been a godsend for the Flames as much as the Flames have been a godsend for Lindholm. There's Giordano having a Norris-level season on the blue line. Now, I don't think he's necessarily going to win it, but I think he's going to be in the running, and I think, especially considering that Drew Doughty, who's always a favorite, the Kings are really bad this year. No matter how much time he plays, if it's a really awful team, it will hurt his chances at winning a Norris Trophy. The one thing I wonder is this. Until they've won a couple of series in the playoffs, we don't know how good the Flames are going to be in that best-of-7 setup. And there are a lot of young kids in this lineup, but it just feels like this team has come together. The other concern, and it's a mild concern, would be, are they peaking too early? And it's funny because we'll have that conversation about Calgary while we don't have that conversation about Tampa or Nashville or other teams, because we go, well, yeah, they're contenders. But the Flames, we'll see if they're peaking too early. So that is going to be a concern only because they weren't expected to be this good. I've always liked David Rittich. I've always been a fan of his. I'm glad to see him doing well, and I'm actually genuinely happy to see the Battle of Alberta mean something. Not only do the Flames look like contenders, the Oilers look like they should make the playoffs the way they've been playing. Today, the Flames did the Oilers a favor by beating the Minnesota Wild. This means that the Wild don't get closer to a spot in the top 8 in the conference, and it solidifies Edmonton's spot in that top 8. So the Battle of Alberta means something again, and that's the first time it's meant something to both teams in a long time. And if we eventually get a Battle of Alberta Stanley Cup playoffs, that will be amazing as a series. And I would really hope that we do see that, because both teams can play defense. Both teams can rough it up if they have to. And really, this Flames team reminds me a lot of the Flames of the late 80s. When they won the Stanley Cup in 1989. They had a talented team. They were deep. They could play a gritty game. They could fight if they had to. They had a solid defense led by some guy named McInnes, and they had a goaltender in Mike Vernon that was really, really underrated at the time. And I still think as a goaltender throughout his entire career, Mike Vernon, very underrated. So yes, in my eyes right now, the Calgary Flames are definitely a contender in a conference that you have Nashville as likely the main contender, although Winnipeg will make that claim as well. And if you ended up with a Winnipeg-Calgary series, I think the really fun thing about this is you've got Toronto, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, Montreal, all look solid and all look like they could go on nice long runs. And even Montreal, I will say that because Carey Price can do it in the playoffs. He's done it before. He's had his issues in the playoffs before, but he's done it in the playoffs before as well. And they have a good, young, exciting team. So, other than Ottawa and Vancouver, things look pretty solid if you cheer for a Canadian team. And I'm okay as a Canuck fan with how things are going, because if they don't make the playoffs, that's okay. Sens fans, I think, probably are glad that the Carlson drama's out and they can just move on. Probably not happy with Melnick, but you know, these things happen. And hockey in Canada looks really, really strong right now. And I think with the Flames right now, they genuinely have a lot of star players, young star players. And as long as they can keep this nucleus together, yeah, I think we could be looking back 5 years from now and saying, wow, you know, the Flames ended up winning that Stanley Cup, and we should have seen it coming. We were all talking about Winnipeg and Toronto as being probably the first ones to get a Stanley Cup to Canada. But boy, Calgary came through with a really gutsy performance. Because they can fight, they can score, they can play defense. And with Rittich, they have a really solid number one goaltender. Hopefully they let him go through the learning process now. There's going to be growing pains with him because it would be his first year as a starter and all. But I like Rittich a lot. So, yeah, in my eyes, Calgary's definitely a contender. But I'd be interested to know what you guys think right now. Or is this just fool's gold, and in February we're going to be going, yeah, they just fell right back down to earth. I don't see it. It's just been too long of a run now, and they've just looked really solid in every area of the game. And then would it be odd too if Bill Peters got some really genuine consideration for Coach of the Year after leaving Carolina? What about Lindholm for Selke? Like, why don't we just make it an all Carolina run? Like, which would be hard for Canes fans, but that's not for Flames fans to worry about. Just to say thank you for Carolina for all these pieces that have helped us make things better. And yeah, it's been a very, very solid season so far. So let me know your thoughts as always in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I will talk to you again soon.